but the interesting ones are what you're a professor at Ohio State in the classics. Who actually, who are you? Tell me. Gregory Jusdanis.
So do we start?
We're just talking,
Oh,
dude. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
Just yeah. So Gregory Jusdanis, professor at Ohio State,
that's right.
classics,
Right,
author,
right,
father, husband,
right.
whole list of things.
Hmm.
And so yeah, just give me a little background. Who are you? What do you do?
So I was born in Greece in a small village with no running water and electricity.
I've been telling people you were born in Italy. I don't know why.
Okay, it
It's not the
doesn't
same.
matter. Mediterranean, the
Yeah,
Mediterranean diet.
neighbors. Yeah.
And my family came to Canada when I was 10.
Hmm.
So I grew up in Canada. I went to university, went to Germany where I met my wife who's American, then went to England, did my PhD, then went to Indiana University where I had a postdoc, and then came to Ohio State in 1987 where we had our three children.
So you got to Ohio State in '87.
Right.
I was born in '89.
That's right.
In
2 years
Ohio, though.
later, yeah, little did
Yeah,
I know.
that's awesome. And so most of your young adult and then adult life has been focused on like being a scholar.
Being a scholar, being an author, being a writer, and then being a husband and a father, and there was a great deal of commitment. So I
Yeah,
was not an athlete at all.
for sure. Um, that is a lot of like getting pulled in a lot of different
Hmm.
directions.
Absolutely.
And I imagine what the first 10, 15 years, like you're trying pretty hard to get tenure because it's
Hmm.
super important in that
That's
world.
right.
So that's probably a primary work goal, and then being a good dad is probably a primary home goal, and then trying to like keep the marriage alive is probably
Right.
competing with a be a good dad. So you've got a lot going on, and now you're 69 years old.
Right.
You just flew out to Salt Lake City so we could go hiking for the
Right.
weekend,
Absolutely.
and we're not. For me, I'm 34 and I live in the mountains. I'm up there 3, 4, 5 days a week. I'm not going on easy hikes this week because you're here. You can keep up. We can do. There are some things we won't do. Like we're not going to do the Southridge Superior because you're not a rock climber,
Right.
and that would be mean.
Right.
You would not have fun. So we're picking trails that you'd have fun on, but we're not scaling back because you're 69. We're just going out and hiking. What I'm interested in is how, right? You live in Columbus, Ohio. We were talking earlier. If we did a poll of all the 69-year-olds within a 10-mile radius of where you lived, 10%, probably less, could come out here and do what we're going to do this weekend. So, what do you attribute your ability to be all the things that you are and still be an athlete? Like, you still come out and hike in a big mountain terrain, have a nice time. So, like, what are you doing? Tell us, like, how do we get
Right.
here?
So I always like to move. So always I know someone who's 99 in Germany who just came from traveling with his daughter and son for 10 days through Turkey. And his mantra was always moving. My mother, who died at 100, always moved. She lived until she was 92 by herself,
Yeah.
going up and down the stairs, lifting up the vacuum cleaner,
Mm-hmm.
working on her garden. She used those city buses until she was 94. And I asked her, aren't you afraid? What if you fall? And she wasn't afraid. So I think that these are my models. And what I'd like to do is I go when weather permitting, which now is most of the time, going from my house to Ohio State by bike along the river. So that's about 30, 35 minutes every day there and back.
35 minutes there, 35 minutes
35
back.
minutes back. I'm not the
Beautiful.
fastest person, but I'm always there, by the
Yeah.
river. And I can do that now almost in December, except sometimes when it's snowing or there's ice or raining, I don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then at Ohio State, and when I also knew you there, I started going to the gym every day when I'm there. It's a great facility. So I have different types of routines. There is one routine where I do weights in the way that you taught me about those routines. Another thing that I do then is that our friend Tyler taught me, which is a series of floor exercises that I do, like mimicking animal movements and
Animal flow kind of stuff.
animal flow type of thing.
Yeah.
And then I can do a set, then do some yoga. So it's then my own routine. I do what Tyler taught me. Then when I get to the end of that side of the gym, I do a yoga stretch, come back, do another yoga set, then do another animal routine. I try to do some handstands, always against the wall, even though
Yeah.
I can do it without it. I'm too afraid. And then another day, there is a thing that you call, like, you push. It's like I don't know, a cart. What do you call
A
them?
sled.
A sled.
Yep.
So I push that back and forth maybe about 12 times. Then I do, in the way that you taught me, about 3,500 meters on the rowing machine.
Yeah.
And then there's another machine that I like doing, which is like, it's just a
Yeah. The rope, like
that
endless rope.
that I pull. And so in between those sets, I always like to do various things that, again, that I've learned, either you or others have told me, that involve some stretching.
Hmm.
So these are the programs that I keep. And then when I'm at home, so I try to do something every day. When I'm at home, I do some calisthenics, and I learned how to do this during COVID when I couldn't, since the
Yeah.
university was closed. I wasn't going to the gym. So for a year, almost 2 years, I developed then these exercises of doing calisthenics, again, material that you sent me, and also things that I've picked up on YouTube.
Hmm.
So always staying active and also stretching, and then doing calisthenics without the weights that I don't have at home. And I try to as well, um, sort of, there is a bar that our oldest son put up that I started lifting from it. And when I'm at the gym, I try to lift. I'm supposed to be I mean, sort of
Like pull
hang
ups.
from it. Yeah.
Oh,
No,
dead
oh,
hang.
I do the pull-ups.
Just yeah.
I do the pull-ups, but I also like to do just hanging from it.
Hmm.
I'd like to do it for a minute. It doesn't always work, and that really feels great at the end of the workout, especially after rowing, when sometimes I develop some lower back pain, maybe because I don't do it right. So hanging there is really, really, really good. I'd like to do it for a minute, but I can't always.
Have you gotten a minute?
Sometimes, yeah,
Sometimes you get it.
I'll be able to do a minute. And then, just doing some walking. I got a vest with some weights
Hmm.
on. And so I put that on, and I could do like 24 pounds for about a half hour. So I can't do any more because I started getting pains on my ankles, groin,
Interesting. Yeah.
etc.
Yeah.
So I just can't do beyond that,
Yeah.
because then I end up getting too many pains. But that has really just helped me a lot to be able to. It was difficult in the beginning, but I just added sort of increments of 12 pounds,
Hmm.
and so going on the walks in the neighborhood. My neighbors wonder what
Just
this
with the
is.
little vest on. I love it.
So, and then just doing walking. And then when I travel, I just came back from a research trip in Spain, Mallorca, and Italy, and just did a lot of walking
Hmm.
at that time. Sometimes, walking for, and during the weekend, I also did some hiking. So doing a lot of walking, and then eating right. So I believe I tried to do the Mediterranean diet where I was born. I think that's my mother's
Hmm.
sort of way to longevity, to living to 100, or not gaining too much weight. And then my wife's a vegetarian, so we don't eat meat at home, but I tend to do the Mediterranean diet.
Yeah. Okay. Let's summarize that.
Yeah,
We've got you're going to Ohio State and you're on your bike for about an hour,
an
hour
hour
and
every day.
10,
Every day
pretty
that
much
I'm
every
going,
day.
yeah,
And
every
that's
day.
like 4 to 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So there's just that in like gym bro terms, that'd be zone two cardio, and you're
Yeah.
getting about an hour, 5 hours a week.
Without thinking of it, I just do it.
Just part of your
It's
routine.
my routine. It's very pleasurable along the bike path
Yeah,
along the river.
that's awesome. But like that's huge, just building in built-in cardio into your lifestyle.
Right.
Monstrous, super helpful. And then you're doing a couple days you're moving weights in the gym. Sometimes you're doing more body weight based stuff, whether that's
Yes.
calisthenics or your animal flow. And then every day you've got some sort of kind of stretching,
Always.
joint health in there, and that
Absolutely.
helps you like stay feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I'd like to be able to bend down, tie my shoes. I'd also like to be able to squat
Hmm.
for a minute or so, because I think that's really beneficial. So I try to do that every day.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then you're walking, sometimes with a weighted vest, sometimes just
Sometimes just
cruising
with
around the
a, yeah,
neighborhood with your wife, whatever like that. And you intentionally try to be active every day.
every day.
And like that active could be just going for a walk.
Yes.
Cool. When we're looking at your workouts, you have a whole lot of things you have to spend energy on that's not just training. How much, what would you say your level of effort is when you're doing your gym stuff? So cruising to work, you're just like
I'm
enjoying
just without
yourself,
thinking
having a
of it.
nice
Yeah.
time, enjoying the outdoors. When you're lifting weights and doing your calisthenics, are you pushing yourself till you feel like you're gonna die? Are you just trying to challenge yourself a little bit? What's your mindset when you're moving weights, when you're doing your calisthenics in terms of intensity? How intense are you going
Right.
after
Never
it?
till I die, but I think I'm pretty tired at the end. I would have a sweat, and I'm so tired that I don't think I can do it beyond that point. So that's all the time that I
Yeah. So
strive
when
for
you're
that.
doing your gym work, you are pushing yourself to the edge
Right.
of what feels like is
Right.
intelligent for you.
And even though what I find sadly, though that comes with aging, that I can't necessarily do now what I could have done, what I did 20 years ago, but I still
Still
try to
out there.
do it. Yeah, because I think there's just a less muscle mass, etc.
For sure. With that, that's an interesting thing. I do know quite a few guys around here that are your age that used to be like world class snow skiers, world class rock climbers, whatever that is, and now they're still really good and better than me, but they're way worse than they used to be.
Yeah,
So for you, as a gym go, identified more as like somebody that works out than identifying as an athlete, how is that mentally to be like, I used to be able to do more, now I can't do as much?
I'm fine with it because I think I've accepted aging as being a natural process, and as long as I can be active, move, etc. I'm actually fine with it. I don't care that I'm no longer 40, which means I don't care if I don't have all my hair, if my hair is
Yeah.
turning gray, if I don't have the same strength. I do feel that I have a lot of energy and I like to use, although sometimes what's really interesting is in the gym, I get many times students know that I'm a professor, so they're very shy. They don't approach me. Once when I was doing my sort of handstand against the wall, there was somebody, a female student, that came up and complimented
Like, nice work, dude.
me. Or
That feels
another
good.
time, there was somebody who was on the pull-up bar, and I asked whether I could use it, and he looked at me and said, "No, like, what do you think?" So I did 10, and he looked at me.
Nice.
And there was once when I was doing what is that thing in yoga when you're down and you put your knees here? What is that
Like
called?
frog stand or
Frog
something like
stand.
that, yeah.
He looked at me and he said, "Can you do this?" Or sometimes I can do stretches that they themselves can do, even though they're in their early 20s. And I think it's not that I'm competing with them. I think it's good to know that what I can do or what you can do in your late 60s if you keep on
You stick with it,
if you
yeah.
stick with it. So it's not that I want to be in my 40s or want to be in like someone in their 20s. It's that I want to be able to do what I want to be able to do, what I am doing right now. And even though it's not at the same level as it was beforehand, and I know that that will be continuously reducing, but I know from the example of my mother or my mother-in-law, this gentleman in Germany, that you still can do a lot as
Oh,
you get older, as long as, even though you can't compare yourself with someone in their 40s, but as long as you're having the life that you want, which is one of mobility and going out for a walk, lifting your suitcase to put in the
hmm.
overhead bin of the plane without asking for help is the ideal, I think.
Yeah, that's sweet. That makes a ton of sense. Just more focused on what I can do than what I can't do
Right,
anymore, and
right,
that
right.
just
And I
accept
know
that that's
that I
how it
just
is.
can't do the thing, or it takes so much more effort to be able
Yeah,
to do what I was doing in my 40s. But I'm still looking at what I can do now, and I'm really happy with it. And as long as I have the energy for it,
just keep going.
yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
All right, let's wind it back a little bit. You grew up in Greece, not Italy. And then when you were going for your PhD, so you're in like the college years, were you were you active?
No, that's paradoxically when I began because I was not. I was like the nerd growing. I was the kid that
Yeah, get
I
the
was never
classes,
on
read
the
the
on the
book.
teams. Nobody wanted me to be on the teams when we were in high school, and it was time to go into teams. I was always the last one
Hmm.
to be called, and I really felt that many times, but I didn't feel that I was really athletic, and sometimes I was oppressed by the athletes in the class. But it really wasn't until university that I started sort of feeling the stress of studying, of getting headaches. And I remember, just going, I thought, oh, it's my eyes. And they said, no, you don't need anything in your eyes. There's nothing wrong with your eyes. And I thought, well, maybe it's just I should start doing some exercise. So I joined an exercise club at the
Mm-hmm.
university. And that's when I developed, I started lifting weights there. I started running, swimming. And then when I went to Germany, where I didn't have an organized gym to go to, I started doing that, mostly running,
Mm-hmm.
walking. And then I basically have continued. So from the time I was at the university, from the time I was 18, 19 to now, I've always trying to do some physical activity every day, even though I was not at all athletic. I was not
Yeah.
an athlete at all. I wasn't part of organized
So you
sports.
you picked it up in school because, and it sounds like because it was helping you handle the stress of school
Yes,
better.
absolutely. I just recognized then that being so, I feel I have a lot of energy, and sometimes that energy can be productive, and sometimes it can go against you
Mm-hmm.
and not be productive at all. So I just thought of physical exercise, motion, going for walks, very, very long walks, was a way of channeling that energy.
Mm-hmm.
And exercise then became a part of my life from the time I was in my 20s. So I'm an example of someone who can continue to be active in their late 60s, even though I was never an athlete
Yeah.
at all. So basically, I've been doing it all my life, not necessarily at an athletic level, but at a level I think that allows me to be fit and
Yeah.
to be doing the things that I want to be doing.
What the funny part about everything that you've just said is like in the school years, right? Like elementary school, grade school, high school, you're not an athlete. College, you're not an athlete, you're a PhD student. Now that you're pushing 70, you're one of the most athletic 70-year-olds of your peer group.
Yeah,
I
that's
think it's
sort
kind
of
of funny, like if you
yeah,
think
it
about it that
really
way.
is. I never thought of it in that
Yeah,
particular way. And
but that's 50 years of just consistently training. And to me, the most interesting thing is you weren't thinking about when you were 70, when you started, you were thinking about, I need to burn this energy so I can be better at the thing that I'm doing, which is scholastic,
right.
studying and writing your dissertation and all that kind of stuff. And that like research supports that. Like the mind works better when the body is active and mobile and
Oh,
everything.
absolutely. And I'm a perfect example of that. I mean, I am very, very productive in my teaching and in my thinking and my writing when I'm writing books. But I will go till about, say, if I start at 9 or 8 in the morning, I can go till 11, but then I know that I'm no longer, I could sit there till 1 or 2 if you make me, but that's when
You
I
make me.
stop. And that's when I need to go to the gym if I'm at the office at the university, or to
Hmm.
do my calisthenics, or to do something,
Just get out.
get out. And then when I come back, I really can work, not necessarily at the same level, but I really feel rejuvenated. So at the university, then do all what I'm doing, get really tired, do something totally different, have a shower, go back, go to the class, and or go back to the office and do some writing, and then I can just go to the afternoon. And I could have written a lot by that particular time. And what makes it possible is exactly that break that I have
Hmm.
in the afternoon, which almost is like a windshield wiper. It wipes everything that was in my mind, everything I'm not bored. Then it's perfectly clear, and my mind is clear. Then I'm really able to go again.
Yeah.
And even though I'm at the desk for fewer hours this way, because I actually devote perhaps more to physical activity than my colleagues do, I feel then I really, whatever I do during those hours in the morning and in the afternoon, I can be super more intense and productive both in my teaching and in my writing, in my reading. I can just
Just
go
move.
through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Without it, I think I would not be able to do anything in the afternoon. My mind would be dull. It wouldn't be clear. I wouldn't be thinking as well. I wouldn't be reading. I would just give up,
Yeah. Yeah.
basically.
It was too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. And move in to just one last thing I want to touch on because I think it's really interesting, especially for your age group, is What's your relationship with pain? Because as you get older, on average, you people are like, oh, I feel more aches and pains, and you don't. Tissue doesn't. I want to just say this: tissue doesn't break down because you get old. It's because it's neglected or abused. You can keep tissue feeling, you can keep the body feeling really good, but 50 years of exercise, you've definitely had my knee hurts, my shoulder hurts, this, that. How do you continue to exercise and kind of like have do what you are doing while managing or eliminating or getting past like something aches, something hurts? What's that look like? So I think that's
Yeah,
interesting.
so luckily until now, I've not had any major pains, and maybe because I'm active, I try to be flexible. I always try to be flexible. I do have some lower back pain, and that comes from sitting. And again, through flexibility, getting up quite
Mhm.
often when I'm writing. I feel also that my posture is actually better now than it used to be.
Mhm.
And I feel because I've just strengthened my core and everywhere that I actually have a better posture. And when I sit down, it hurts. It hurts less. So I think it's just the activity
Just
of
keep going.
constantly moving, doing those animal flow exercises, doing those stretching. And the stretching I can do just as much as I could put as much time into that now as I do in the lifting. And doing all this motion allows me to be more flexible, more limber.
Mhm.
In a sense, so if I do have some sort of injury, I do have some sort of pain, I can move away from it or grow away from it, and finding things like hanging from the bar. So I still find when I'm rowing, and maybe I have some sort of improper technique, after a while I do develop some pain in the back, and trying to figure out ways of stretching. And I think it's maybe sort of my upper leg muscles and sort of doing some activities, and also then hanging from the bar means I'm actually flexible now than when I was younger. I
Yeah.
feel I am.
Yeah, it's sweet. So what I heard was you attribute your body feeling pretty good because you continuously use it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that agrees with pretty much all the research. Like, yeah, that's spot on.
And the diet as well. I would
Diet's
say, yeah.
huge. Yeah.
Mhm.
Diet is very huge. Wrap things up. One piece of advice that you could give to someone in, let's say, mid 30s, about my age. It, it seems from all the work that I've done in gyms and athletics, around 30 to 40, somewhere in that pocket is where most people recognize, oh, I need to take care of my body. Like, I want to still be able to do stuff. We've seen our grandparents kind of fall apart in their 60s, 70s, 80s, or not if you're lucky. But what's one piece of advice that you would give to somebody that's just kind of starting or looking ahead to, like, I still want to be traveling to Turkey when I'm 99, like your buddy? What's that piece of
The
advice?
advice is because what I see happening to my own students and say to people in your age is everybody has time to do exercise when they're at university. They have the gym 5 minutes away,
Mm-hmm.
and they have more time. Even though students feel that they don't, they never have as much time. I tell them,
You have so
you'll
much time.
never be as free as you are right
That is
now,
very true.
trust me. What happens though? Once they leave the university, they get then into a job routine in which they don't have 2 hours
Mm-hmm.
for during lunchtime. So now they figure that they don't have as much time to exercise, and I see this. Then they get married, they have children. So when people come to your age, exercise becomes really a luxury.
Yeah.
And I see that it's very difficult. If they're in an office, there's no way they can get away from the office. They either have to get up very early, which is very difficult, or come home in the afternoon then when they have children. So I think that exercise just falls away by the time people get in their 30s. It's almost like friendship, and I've written a book on friendship which shows that friendship also falls away, it becomes a luxury. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the advice that I would give is always try to carve out some time wherever you can, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be early in the morning, if you can extend your lunch, or do something in the afternoon or evening, always to do some exercise. And if it becomes part of the routine, because it becomes so simple to say, I just won't do it because it's not really that important. Yes, it's not important to in your day and that particular day, but it does become important cumulatively. And if you don't
Yeah.
have time now, you'll never have time. You have to try to carve some time. And that would mean less time on social media. People, nobody says I never have enough time on social media. Everybody has. Well, don't do that and do the. That's what I would say is after you graduate from university, after you leave those days, that oasis of what campus life is, when you have and you have the energy, the time to do it, it just stops. And when people start gaining weight, they lose their flexibility. They have difficulty
Mm-hmm.
bending. That I see people in their 30s, and I'm not a doctor, I just see it
Yeah.
around. And I think it's to maintain that body, it means that you have to put that time, just that you have to put time in friendship, which falls by the by after you leave the university. I think you have to put as much time into exercise by carving some time in your day and doing. That's the advice that I would give. And if it becomes part of your routine, as it always has for me, I don't think I will have been able to do what I'm doing right now or to have done what I've done if I did not carve out some time
Mm-hmm.
uh, in my day. And some people, maybe some colleagues or associates might think this is a self-indulgence on my part, but I know I wouldn't be able to be where I am right now
Without it.
if I had not done this, both mentally and physically. I just wouldn't be able to do it at all.
Yeah, I'm on the same page as you. It's been built into my life since I was a kid. So I
Right,
grew up in athletics, and then I gym rat through. I studied gym rat, and
right.
that's on my degree from Ohio State gym rat. And so that's not will I get it in. So it's like you're here, so my time to exercise is usually when I came home the day. So I just went to the gym earlier. It wasn't a oh I can't work out. It's like oh I just have to work out in a different time. So yeah, just carving out time to do it. I think that's beautiful. Anything else you wanna share? But I think we covered.
I think that's it. And trying always to have a good diet and always to try to have time to cook and make that into a pleasant part of your day and to make sure that you're not eating junk food, that you're eating wholesome meals.
Hmm.
And it's good for you and it's good for the environment. I think just not to eat processed food, but to eat real food, just like our ancestors
Yeah,
did.
yeah. Diet's huge. That's a whole. We got a whole another 5 hours to talk about
Right,
diet.
right,
That's a
right.
big one. But dude, thank you. That was
All
awesome.
right, that was.
I think we
Thank
crushed
you
it.
very much.
This is like a super interesting story that like there's not many platforms for an academic to share
No,
your relationship with exercise